What's up, family and sports fans? Curious Formula coming to you live and direct to talk about the 5 reasons why Nikki Haley can win the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. Interested? Let's go. Okay, so we're back. 5 reasons why Nikki Haley can indeed win the 2024 Republican nomination for president. And there's a disclaimer. I said she can win. Didn't say she would. But these are the 5 reasons why I think she can. But first, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you comment. We are building this as we fly. We need your support and we need your help if you want more content like this to come through, and share with friends. So, reason number 1. She is a strong second in New Hampshire. Yes, while people were thinking that Donald Trump was insurmountable or that the only person that might be able to beat him was Mr. DeSantis from Florida, here comes Nikki Haley, the little engine that could or could not, depending on what side of the aisle that you happen to reside in politically and ideologically. But she's a strong second in New Hampshire. People thought that this came out of nowhere. She understands the electorate in New Hampshire, and she's been having town halls that have been bringing people out. And about a month and a half ago, a poll came out that showed that even though Donald Trump is in the lead, that she was a strong second, yes, topping even Governor DeSantis. And recently in Iowa, she has been posting neck and neck with DeSantis for second place amongst the caucus goers that are going to vote in less than a week when this video comes out. Now, why is that important? It's important for a lot of reasons. If you're a Trump supporter, you should be a little nervous. Donald Trump has been dominating, leading people by 44 and 45% in the early states of Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. And in national polls, obviously, he is insurmountable, and the swag has been so strong, he's avoided every inkling to even participate in any debates. They're not his druthers, I get that. But what is interesting to see is that Nikki Haley has moved into second place in Iowa and in a strong second in New Hampshire. But that Iowa support is going to be instrumental in getting her to New Hampshire. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Typically in these elections, particularly for presidential nominations, the person that wins Iowa does not win in New Hampshire. And you look no further than 2008 with Barack Obama, who won Iowa.
I've done what the state of New Hampshire can do in 5 days.
And it was favored to win in New Hampshire, but New Hampshire likes to be the contrarian in these races. They like to do the opposite of what Iowa does, and extend races beyond what the normal prognosticators think they should. And so in 2008, Obama wins Iowa, he's in the lead in New Hampshire, but that week, Clinton makes a comeback and wins in New Hampshire, and therefore we have a long, drawn-out process. Likewise, in 2008, you had Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, who wins Iowa, but then loses to McCain in New Hampshire. And as early or as late as 2016, you have Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, who barely won Iowa, but then Donald Trump wins New Hampshire, and again extends that nomination fight as well. So there's a history of Iowa winners losing in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire being the contrarian in the race here. And I think that Nikki Haley is going to benefit from that immensely, and not necessarily in the next week after Iowa, but the week afterwards, so in 2 weeks. I expect her to move up. She has the support of Governor Sununu in the state of New Hampshire. I expect a lot of changes to happen in the race after Iowa. Chris Christie possibly leaving the race, Ramaswamy possibly leaving the race, and DeSantis being on fumes trying to explain his poor showing to maybe a 3rd place showing in Iowa to Nikki Haley. The second reason why Nikki Haley can win the 2024 Republican nomination for president, that the field will be smaller earlier in the GOP primary than 2016. Most people don't recognize or remember this fact that Donald Trump never really won a large majority of primary voters. There were just 1 million people running with a Republican nomination. And you remember some of those people like Jeb Bush and others who were running in that race. And so winning 20%, 25% was enough to win a number of those primary and caucuses throughout the race that allowed Donald Trump to build an insurmountable lead because the other candidates were dividing up the vote. And indeed, when you look at the Republican primary structure, which is different than the Democratic structure, where Democrats allow for proportional voting. You get 40% of the vote, you'll get 40% of the delegates, and the next person may get 25%, you'll get 25% of the delegates. In the Republican primary system, in that structure, winner takes all. And so Donald Trump was able to build an insurmountable delegate lead while others were coming right behind him or losing him by 5 or 6 percentage points. And indeed, those who have been anti-Donald Trump have said that if there's going to be another nominee for the Republican nomination, that person is going to have to corral the anti-Trump vote and the never-Trumper votes early, meaning that they can't wait to get to Super Tuesday to do that. They're going to have to make sure that they get their votes as soon as possible and push the other alternatives out of the race so that there can be a one-on-one race between Donald Trump and the ex-candidate. And it looks like Nikki Haley is moving to become that ex-candidate. The race is really down to 3 serious candidates, Donald Trump being one of them, but also Nikki Haley and DeSantis, Governor DeSantis from Florida. Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy are really not going to be in the mix here. They're kind of French candidates at this point. And so she has an opportunity, if she does well enough in Iowa, second place, at the worst, a close third, and coming in a close second in New Hampshire, or even winning New Hampshire with the support of Governor Sununu, she looks to catapult herself as the candidate to take on Donald Trump for the nomination. The third reason why Nikki Haley can win the 2024 Republican nomination for president is South Carolina. Yes, if she does well in Iowa, if she wins New Hampshire, loses a close race there, and she is now the alternative candidate, the next state up is South Carolina. And that's her home state. That's the state she was the governor of. That's the state that she presided over and actually did a good job. There's actually a video of Donald Trump saying what a good job she did as governor, and that's why he made her the UN representative for the US during his administration. And so I know what polls are saying there right now, but they're the same thing national polls are saying. And let me just tell you, polls are a snapshot in time. They have no bearing on the race as it moves forward. And so whatever national polls are showing Trump with this insurmountable lead, it's going to change if the race tightens up in Iowa and New Hampshire. And just like Barack Obama, who was tight in Iowa and ahead by a lot in New Hampshire, that race changed in literally a week. The same thing happened in other races in 2004 and in 2000 and in 2000 in those primaries. Polls will move quickly when a candidate has that mojo, that momentum behind them. And if she has that kind of momentum, look at Nikki Haley to take on Donald Trump head-to-head in South Carolina and possibly even beat him in that particular state. The fourth reason why I think Nikki Haley can win the 2024 Republican nomination for president is that she's polling better against Biden in the general election than even Donald Trump. Yes, everyone knows this poll now, if you pay attention to politics, that Nikki Haley is 17 points up on Joe Biden. I know some members of Congress who are Democrats who say that the candidate they feel the most is not DeSantis, but it's Nikki Haley. And if that is the case, then the general electorate already supporting her over Biden by 17 points, and she's just a generic candidate this time. Most people don't even know who Nikki Haley actually is. She's going to bring a lot of strength to a Republican Party to take on Joe Biden. And I see if Nikki Haley continues her momentum, I see her being able to make the case that I'm the strongest candidate to beat Joe Biden. And at the end of the day, that's what Republicans are looking for. They're looking for somebody that can beat Joe Biden and not necessarily going over the same or relitigating the 2020 election and being the party of grievance for a revenge Donald Trump tour in 2024. So if Nikki Haley can show the electorate that if Nikki Haley can show the Republican Party and the average voter within the Republican primary caucus system that she is indeed the best candidate to take on Joe Biden, she will benefit from that. And I think get a lot of support because ultimately that's what Republicans want to do, take Joe Biden out. Now the fifth reason, and you know I have to have a 5A and a 5B, but the 5A reason why Nikki Haley can win the 2024 Republican nomination for president is that she hauled in $24 million in the last quarter of fundraising at the end of the year last year. That is an incredible increase over what she did the third quarter and the second quarter. She has shown a growing ability to raise dollars, which are going to be important to fund whatever campaign she can put together in terms of the South Super Tuesday in the South and putting that with the money that she received from the Koch brothers-backed PAC that supports her, you're going to see a lot of funding coming her way, and she'll be able to compete with Donald Trump in a number of these states that heretofore other candidates have not been able to. And 5B. The 5B reason why Nikki Haley can win the 2024 Republican nomination for president is that Donald Trump's primary and court schedules are going to start soon. Listen, folks, I told you all a long time ago that Donald Trump's biggest problem in running for re-election running for office this time is that he will be going from the campaign trail to the courtroom in a number of different court cases. Now, instead of making him a martyr, it's going to make the average citizen who's not paying attention to this race see Donald Trump as basically a felon or potentially alleged felon just going to court. How odd is it going to be to see a candidate running for president telling you he's going to do all these things and drain the swamp when he's in court trying to defend himself against being an insurrectionist or against tampering with democracy or against the other types of things that he's been accused of? That picture, that optics of Donald Trump leaving the campaign trail, going to court, and then coming back to the campaign trail against a Nikki Haley who's going to be just rolling her sleeves up, going from voter to voter, is going to start taking effect in the next month or two if she can survive. If she can keep her campaign afloat, that optics of her campaign, meaning average citizens, and talking about the real issues that they are living and facing and are afraid of and struggling to deal with, is going to be juxtaposed to a guy who's on a revenge tour and going back and forth to court, constantly telling people why he's not guilty of criminal charges. That's going to outlast, I think, his support and his ability to make people just believe everything he says and follow his words without any thought or to his actual actions. And I think that provides an opening for a new voice and a new candidate to lead the Republican banner in 2024. But tell me what you think. Like and subscribe and comment below. Please spread the word if you like this content. We will keep it coming, and we will keep it flowing in the way that mainstream media does not. Stay curious.